are.
Well, I'm waiting on my Jimmy.
Oh.
He's gonna walk in right as soon as the press conference starts.
Oh, it's gonna be like 2 grand.
I'm like, I'll take that. Here, do my sandwich.
Grab your water there while you're out there.
Yeah. You're gonna find this one.
It's a floor water one. This one's long. Uh-oh, there she is. Hurry, it's
Why
too
you,
late,
why
it's
you
over.
running? No running at City Hall.
Good timing.
I can run it. I don't know. It's that person I'm watching. I was in a meeting and I was like, there's a man.
She doesn't run it. She doesn't worry about it. She's already in. She doesn't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You probably have no problem saying no. I'm not going.
What'd you say?
She probably wouldn't.
She'll probably say no.
James, get down there and start talking now. Get some good press. We don't usually mix politics with city business.
What?
Jim's gonna go take the mic.
Say thank you all for coming out today.
Exactly.
Gonna kick this thing off here.
The governor's not here, but I'm gonna get a few words on his behalf.
Can you ramble for about 5 minutes?
I can't. That's too long for me.
Yeah, it's later.
Getting a blank check, that's nice. It's a blank one.
I don't even have a mask on my body right now.
It's a blank check.
Let's get right.
I think the pose is about
Yeah, exactly. Kumbaya. Kumbaya.
Or we could all do
Hey, so do we all just kind of leave what way last talking?
Like the chipmunk.
Could you imagine? We all kind of just slowly sway this way.
No. Only if it can be from your Brady Bunch.
Okay, the next council member that is up
I'll try
at
to
the
get
podium, that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
To
really,
talk about it.
Are these all
he's really good at choreography.
I tell you what, they got 2 or 3 minutes to get this thing started, then I'm gonna.
All right, oh, you are, you got stuff to do. Look at you.
Oh, they're late.
I say
So
y'all.
important, but
They are late.
I said we all leave.
That's what they're.
Hold the plug.
What do you think? Yeah, oh, that's probably what they're waiting on. Yeah.
What are they waiting on?
He's giving us a check. We get it. It's like a 15 minutes on a professor.
Yeah, 15 minutes. What are you doing standing down there?
I'm about to hit the mic.
Oh,
Sure.
okay. He gets to talk. Do you want it here or here?
Yeah, we match.
You
Put
get
me
to
in a
talk.
good, hey, I want a good spot.
He said he's getting ready.
You got the price spot.
Okay.
Yeah. Is that good right
Hey Chris, how do I look?
I think
You look wonderful, guys.
yeah, I'm not ready for committee. There's
Actually, my better side this side.
nope.
You got the email.
Everybody needs to be able to see your little pocket square.
It's gone crazy.
It's famous. Everybody needs to see it.
It's a
You're on this side. It may be
It's
black.
got-
I'll tell him what I told Josh. Next very much.
Well, they took the check.
I know.
10 minutes later.
Wait, they're coming back.
10 minutes is all your teacher
He
gets.
told us, he said I was Colonel Mustard.
Unless they've got
Go right to sleep. You just felt like
maybe that was 15 minutes where I got a
we're just we're all messed up.
Professor didn't show up for 10 minutes, we were gone.
10? I thought it was 15.
Right?
Is it master and
There
PhD?
just needs to be a rumor about that. No, I don't know anything about it.
Is that true or not?
It's not true.
Oh, well, it is folk.
But people do it.
It's fully enacted in my school.
Uh-oh. He's...
Yes, go put it on the counter with my. Just turn it
In your
sideways.
back pocket.
Hannah, take a selfie.
Do I need any powder? Must be like a gutter or something.
I've got a phone in my pocket.
Yeah, but it was in her front, and it was reflecting.
Sticker on the back or
What a nice looking suit.
I look at my mom, we were on the 4th of July parade. And
Should we do a song and dance?
And we're walking down, and my mom says, you all really do some crazy stuff. I'm waving at people that don't know me, and I don't know them. And we're just like, who is this lady?
Hey, Governor.
Good to see you. How are my classmates? Good? Oh, good, good. Yes. Okay. That's the actual chapter.
The real one.
Good to see you.
Governor.
Hey, good to see you. Good. You doing all right? Yeah. Good.
And we have three of our wonderful judges.
Man, they brought the big gun out today.
How are you? Great. Good.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Rocky's in the house.
Hey, I'm Andy.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. First of all, I'd like to introduce our council members who are with us today. Councilmember Chuck Ellinger, Fred Brown, Josh McKern, Whitney Baxter, David Kloiber, Vice Mayor Steve Kay, Council members Susan Lamb, Hannah Legree, Amanda Bledsoe, Richard Maloney, Liz Sheehan, James Brown, and Councilmember Jennifer Reynolds. Welcome. Thank you for being here. And I also want to welcome our judges, Judge Lindsay Thurston, Judge Denotra Spruill Gunther, Judge Melissa Murphy. Thank you for being here. These are some of our judges who have worked with us to avoid evictions here in Fayette County. So we really appreciate your presence. Thank you. It's also my great pleasure to welcome our governor, Andy Beshear, to Lexington, his hometown. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Governor, thank you for everything you have done to help us get through this pandemic. I also want to introduce and welcome Sharon Price, Executive Director of Community Action Council. Welcome. And Charlie Lanter, my new Commissioner of Housing Advocacy and Community Development. Welcome. 2 years ago today, Lexington experienced its first COVID-19 case involving a Fayette County resident. Since then, the pandemic has touched every single corner of our community. I'm especially proud of the recovery of our economy, which is back to pre-pandemic levels. Our local companies are expanding and new companies are moving here. Our economy is growing. One of the tools that has helped us recover is the Housing Stabilization Program. Today, the governor has an exciting announcement about the program that has kept a roof over the heads of so many of our most affected people. Governor Beshear, welcome to the podium.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
All right, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you to Mayor Gorton for that introduction. It is great to be back in Lexington, a city that I was born in, and I am proud to be a Fayette County public school graduate from a team that's going to the state tournament. I'm also really proud of this city and its governance. The last 2 years have had such great challenges, but whether it is in tough times or today, a day we hope is a good day, you see a united city government, standing behind us, wanted to do the right thing for its people. That is pretty special, especially in times that have been described as divisive or difficult, to see a city so concerned and so focused on doing right by its citizens, knowing that our job in government isn't to move a state or a city right or left, but to move it forward. We're here today to celebrate the hard work being done by Lexington City Government and the Community Action Council in continuing an important program that is helping protect people who continue to be impacted by this one in every 100-year pandemic. We stand here today on the 2-year anniversary of the first case in Lexington. And when that first case hit, we had all hoped we were looking at difficulty for maybe 2 weeks. Flatten that curve. Y'all remember that? But we don't pick the amount of time that a virus plagues us. We don't pick how long the war will last, but we do get to choose in how we respond. And so much of our response is a story of compassion, of empathy, of living out our faith and values, that we love our neighbor as ourselves, and that the story of the Good Samaritan, everybody, every single person is our neighbor. I think the great lesson of COVID is that everybody counts. And a city like Lexington can only thrive when we try to look out for everyone and at least give them the opportunity of moving forward. We're at the 2-year, 2-day mark from the very first case of COVID. Brittany and I marked that occasion on Sunday by standing on the grounds at the Capitol where there will be a permanent monument to grieve the 14,000 Kentuckians we've lost, but to honor the sacrifices as well as so many, from health care to essential workers, to every single Kentuckian, from our kids who sacrificed opportunities they might not get back, to those that didn't get to see their loved ones as often as they would like. But because of that sacrifice, because of just about everybody doing their part, we have so many more people that are here today alive that will spend the next holiday with their families. And for that, I'm grateful for every single Kentuckian and how they have been so strong. And today, it's pretty much good news on the pandemic front. And we've deserved that for a while. After getting through Delta, a very deadly surge, and Omicron, a very contagious surge, we are seeing every metric drop every day. And we hope we are headed to a very good spring and a very good summer, and we hope good days far beyond that. But there is still suffering that has been caused and will always be caused by something as big as a one in every 100-year pandemic. There are lasting impacts, scars on the outside, scars on the inside. Difficulty based on the period the pandemic was here on making sure that we can make ends meet. But as we grieve and we mourn at what we hope is coming to the close of a very difficult, dark chapter, oh my goodness, we're entering a bright and I think maybe an equally historic one filled with the greatest opportunity for this city and I believe this state that I have ever seen. Folks, we have an economy right now that is on fire. An opportunity in front of us to not stumble, but sprint out of this pandemic with more chances, more good jobs for the people of Lexington and the people of Kentucky, more opportunity to bring that next great headquarters and to compete with anybody around this world than we have ever seen. Just last week, Site Selection Magazine's 2021 Governor's Cup rankings were announced, and Kentucky was once again #1 atop the South Central region for economic development projects per capita. But how about this? In the entire United States, state of Kentucky, #3 per capita across the United States. And we're seeing that type of recognition in so many other places. We up here, especially in government, know the harshest critic about our economy, and Rocky could tell you this, are these things called bond rating agencies. They make it very difficult for us to borrow. They create challenges when we could make investments And, for the last 15 years, think about that, 15 years, these rating agencies have rated our economy as either poor or stable. That is 15 years of those groups looking down on us. Well, 3 weeks ago, for the first time since January of 2007, S&P upgraded our economic outlook in Kentucky to positive. How exciting is that? And we are seeing investments. We are seeing economic surges in every part of Kentucky, including this region, and we are not slowing down this year. You think about at the end of last year, best year for economic development in our history, ever. And we did it in the midst of a pandemic. On an average year, I think the record was about $7.2, $7.3 billion of new investment. Last year, $11.2 billion. A good year was maybe 9,000 new jobs. Last year, 18,000 new jobs at the second highest wage we have ever seen. This January, best January in the last 5 years, $660 million of new investment. That included vector corrosion technologies right here in Fayette County and another 1,400 new jobs. But I look back to the time that I've had the opportunity as governor to work with this region, and boy, seeing the incredible work your local officials have done and what we've all done together, we have now announced at least 3,550 new jobs with an additional $1.6 billion of new investment. Y'all ought to be proud of that. And the numbers across the board, improving better each day as hopefully our COVID numbers go down each day. Yesterday, we got more good news that our annual unemployment rate for last year was just 4.7%. That's a drop from 6.4% the year before, and it is lower than the U.S. average unemployment rate. Think about that. We haven't had a lot of moments in our lives where Kentucky has a lower unemployment rate and is attracting bigger opportunities than the rest of the country. The Ford SK deal, over nearly $6 billion, 5,000 new jobs, was the seventh largest economic development deal announced last year in the entire country. We've operationalized Amazon's biggest investment in its history in northern Kentucky. We have the world's cleanest recycled paper mill going in Henderson at $500 million. It is larger and more sophisticated than the plant in New York City. We are the talk of every boardroom across America, and every country across this globe now not only knows where we are, but who we are and what we can do. And we have an opportunity moving forward to make special investments, from record investments in public education. That means something to me standing in Fayette County, to the chance for the first time in our history to provide universal pre-K to all 4-year-olds across the Commonwealth. Think about every one of our kids being kindergarten ready, and the last group that did this, Washington, D.C., added 10% to its workforce in 1 year. It's the best, it's the right thing, and it's also the smart thing for us to do. But even with all that, many of our families are having a tough time getting by, with the challenges of our present brought along by temporary inflation, to now the conflict in Ukraine, the Russian aggression, which is going to impact each and every one of our pocketbooks. But stopping a dictator has always taken sacrifice, and the sacrifice we're being asked to make aren't our sons and daughters on a battlefield, but to be strong enough to push through this and stop this dictator right here, right now. But that doesn't mean that we collectively, city government in Lexington and state government, aren't doing our best to come up with programs and help get people by through this temporary tough time. One is a group of packages, one of which I've already signed as an executive order to freeze everyone's vehicle property taxes to last year's rate, knowing they had increased significantly and it's going to save Kentuckians over $300 million. I think I just got some legislation along the same lines. I plan on signing that too, even if we've already done the hard work. The other proposal we've made is a 1-year, 1% reduction in the state sales tax, something that will benefit every family regardless of their income bracket, hopefully still spur our economy and make things cost less. But one of the other ways that we're helping is the fund that everybody is here to support today. It started in 2020 with Federal CARES Act dollars, the Healthy at Home Eviction Relief Fund. It recognizes that people have fallen behind in their rent during COVID and/or the challenges of inflation if they were keeping up, but still in this COVID economy, presenting challenges in front of them. And last year we were able to launch, it was our second version of the program, with $264 million. The way it worked is there were 3 funds set up. Lexington managed its own, and let me just say, has done a phenomenal job. Doing it so well that together the 3 funds have now paid out $119.7 million in rental and utility assistance to 25,789 renters. Yeah. The average for the program has been $4,639 per household. That's $108 million in rental assistance and $12.8 million in utility assistance. And we're encouraging eligible tenants and landlords across Kentucky to apply for the remaining $55.9 million. But you know what? Lexington has done a phenomenal job. It has run through every dollar that was provided directly to them in Federal CARES Act dollars. That's why it was some months, maybe even a year ago, that Mayor Gorton joined me, and at that time we directed an additional $11.7 million to shore up Lexington's housing stabilization program. And so today, we're here to do that again. Another $11.7 million to help renters here in Lexington, Kentucky. This city, all its leaders, have been phenomenal partners. I mean it, in this battle against COVID. It's something they don't write any playbook for. It turns our world upside down, and not everybody agrees with you when you have to make that tough decision. Trust me, I know. But watching from city government to the school system to so many others trying to do the right thing for as many of our citizens as we can, I am so proud of this town. And I am proud of Mayor Gorton for her leadership. And let me just give a couple numbers on how Lexington and Fayette County have done thus far. Lexington has now served 3,510 households. They have helped 1 out of every 18 renter households in Fayette County. So with that, we'd like to present to the City of Lexington and Fayette County this additional $11.7 million to help its citizens.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Join us.
Come on, Sharon.
You got to spend it. Why don't you hold on to that?
Force it later.
There we go. We can do that. Let me first say before Twitter and Facebook blow up, I'm headed to Louisville here in just a little bit. Your program is also getting some extra help. But I know Mayor Gorton joins me in thanking the Housing Stabilization Program and the Community Action Council for their phenomenal and very effective work. This and the other 22 community action agencies across Kentucky have been on the front lines of our pandemic in so many ways, and in many ways are best exemplify our faith and values at times of great difficulty. Whether expanding hours at its food pantries, operating a winter shelter for the homeless, or using neighborhood centers to serve as a host site for vaccine clinics, Community Action Council has been steadfast in its commitment to helping Kentuckians make it through this pandemic. Let's all thank Executive Director Sharon Price and all of her team. Because of their work, the whole country is seeing who Lexington really is. A recent report published by the National Low-Income Housing Coalition ranked Lexington among the top local grantees nationwide for paying rent and utility bills for residents who need help. We are so proud of these partners. We are so proud of the work they have done. And to put in a plug, not only do we have more dollars left to help people with rent and utilities, but we've now launched the Team Kentucky Homeowner Assistance Fund, where homeowners can get the same type of funds if they are behind on their mortgage payments, property taxes, homeowners insurance, homeowners association fees, or utility costs. You can go to teamkyhaf.ky.gov to learn more. And the Gospel of Matthew says, "For when I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in." Community Action Council, and certainly the City of Lexington and Fayette County have truly shown us the best of the best in some of the toughest of times. So thank you all. God bless Lexington and Fayette County. God bless the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Thank you so much, Governor. Thank you very much, Governor.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So, working with Community Action Council, we are very proud of the work we have done. And at times, there have been as many as 70 City and Community Action Council staff working together to help those requesting assistance for rent and utilities. That report you mentioned from the National Low Income Housing Coalition also ranked Lexington among the top local grantees nationwide. Officials from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development and Department of the Treasury met with our local Housing Stabilization Program team to gather information about the success of the Lexington program and identify best practices to help other programs across the country. So to add a few statistics to the governor's list, these funds have gone to people who are truly low income. 88% of those who have received rental assistance have had incomes lower than 50% of our area's median income. 700 different landlords have been paid rent, and payments average $6,000. Partnerships have been essential to getting us through this pandemic. Governor, I know you know how that works big time.
Most days.
Yeah, most days. And for this program, Community Action has been our most excellent partner. So I'd like to ask Sharon Price, who has a huge team of her folks here, to come to the podium and say a few words. Sharon.
I've got some notes. Thank you, Governor. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We're so excited to be here today to talk about all of the work that has been done for the families in our community through our Housing Stabilization Program. There have been many benefits to the community. Since Community Action became the administrator for this housing program last November, our staff, and I'm gonna say it again, our amazing staff, many of them who are here today, working diligently every single day, Saturday, Sunday, early mornings, late nights. We could not have done it without you all. Thank you. The last time I met with you guys, I made an aggressive promise to you. I promised that Community Action would take care of these funds from the city and that we would have an aggressive goal of $500,000 of support a week that we would give back to the community. I'm here to tell you today that Community Action keeps our promises. If we make a commitment to you, we will stand by it. We did not only, because of this team, meet our goal. We exceeded this goal on average by $50,000 a week every single week since November. That's good news. In administering this program, we have contracted about 30 part-time staff. But we know that part-time is not just enough work. And so what we're doing is we have nearly hired all of them on as permanent staff at Community Action Council to continue this work that we're doing. This is a big deal. We want our staff to have full benefits and have a working wage so that they can take care of their families when they need it. Through this program, we have grown our team because everybody that has come to our team believes in our mission of anti-poverty. And we've all talked about this. We cannot do it alone. It takes all of us together to make this community strong. And in the middle of this pandemic, the city, Community Action Council, and countless of other partners stepped up to the plate to make sure that we were taking care of our every neighbor, not just the ones that we like, every neighbor, okay? Our community action staff members maximize their time with the housing stabilization participants when they come in the door. So at Community Action, it's not just a one-off when you walk in to any one of the community action agencies across the state. The team will work with families to make sure that they have everything they need, not just one thing. Some of the things and programs that families have been connected with when receiving services from the Housing Stabilization Program have been the federal heating and water assistance program that has come down the pike. We've referred families to local food pantries, as Governor Beshear mentioned. But most importantly of all, we've been able to reach our youngest students. We're talking about universal pre-K and how phenomenal the results of Head Start are on children. We have enrolled those families in our Head Start programs, and that's a big deal. So again, thank you, Mayor Gordon, Governor Beshear, and to all the city councilmen. I know I made them crazy, right? Because I had them all on speed dial, but that's what it takes. I would be remiss if I did not talk about the partnership and the relationship that I have with Charlie Lanter and Jonathan. Working together is not always easy. Sometimes it's hard and it takes grit and it takes will to come together and find a solution. And what COVID taught us is we don't need to take months to find solutions to the problem. We can already jump in and do what needs to be done. And so I want to thank you for your leadership and your friendship throughout this entire thing. Thank you. And so, like most of you guys, we've talked about this today already, Community Action looks forward to a time when COVID is in our rearview mirror. And when we reach that point, Community Action is making another promise. We will be ready to stand by the city and with the city to work toward ending the affordable housing crisis in Lexington. Thank you all. I appreciate you all.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Sharon. Thank you. And now let's hear from Charlie Lanter, my new Commissioner of Housing Advocacy and Community Development. Charlie ran the Housing Assistance Program when the city was first in charge of it before we transitioned it to Community Action. Welcome, Charlie.
What Sharon didn't tell you is I worked at Community Action for 10 years, and you know, we used to be colleagues, and Sharon's probably got to the point now where when I call and she answers the phone, she's a little bit like, oh, do I really want to pick this up? And, but no, this has been a phenomenal partnership, a phenomenal relationship, and it's because it all starts with housing. Housing is everything. Housing is healthcare. Housing is tied to better educational outcomes for children. It's necessary for economic development, for us to be competitive as a state and as a city. So many pieces of our infrastructure revolve around our ability to provide access to safe, quality, affordable housing. The Housing Stabilization Program does that, and I want to thank Jonathan Wright. Sharon mentioned him. Jonathan is the guy who gets it done day to day, makes this thing happen. There are thousands of citizens that are better off today because of your long hours, so thank you. We aren't just responding to the immediate crisis here in Lexington. We've been proactively trying to increase the availability of affordable housing for years. This year, Lexington has $13 million to invest in affordable housing development. We're going to create and preserve additional units. We've got $10 million from ARPA. We've got $3 million from the general fund. And we will fund the creation and preservation of hundreds, if not thousands, of units of affordable housing to make sure that we expand on this commitment. Thus far, since 2014, when our Affordable Housing Fund was started, we have created and preserved already more than 3,000 units of affordable housing in Lexington. So thank you, Governor Beshear. Thank you, Mayor Gorton, for your support and commitments on these issues. Together we have and will continue to make a major difference in the lives of our citizens. It's an exciting day today, and now it's time for people like us to get back to work.
Thanks, Charlie. Thank you, Charlie. Now, we have some time for questions. Do you have a little bit of time left? Yes. Are there any questions? Michael?
With this gift from the governor, do you have a rough estimate of where it is at this point and how much that could help?
Our fund? Yeah. Oh, this,
I don't know the
yeah,
number
we
of
don't.
write-off.
Do you have the number, Charlie?
They told me they were running out.
No. Now, this was an honest ask, Governor.
So the total amount allocated thus far in federal funds is $29 million. And that's when you combine the funds that the city received directly from the Treasury as well as the funds that have been provided through the state. The city also invested about $3 million of general funds, so it's been a total of $31 million so far. As of today, we're down to the dregs, I guess you'd call it. I mean, it's going to be a photo finish.
Anymore.
No, not anymore. And so, we're certainly hopeful that these funds will carry us, potentially through the rest of this calendar year. But the total thus far was $31 million plus this now additional $11.7 million.
I have a question for you as well. I know last year there were concerns about the backlog of the application process. Some landlords were complaining that they were not getting the money. Time manner, could you give an update about what their timeline process is?
I don't have the exact average wait right now, but I can tell you it is significantly shortened from that time period. Like any program that builds, the airplane while they fly it, we had a lot of growing pains. When you're putting together a $30 million program in a matter of weeks, we definitely had challenges. This is not something the city had ever done before, or the state. But we have gotten that for the large part under control, thanks to the help of Community Action, thanks to the help of a fleet of city staff who jumped in and did a lot of things above and beyond their job. We got that backlog reduced, and that wait time, while not days, it still can be weeks because we have to prioritize the list based on federal prioritizations, is definitely not what it was, which at one time was quite a few weeks.
Sure. I thought I was going to get away without answering the
No
question.
such luck.
So the $11.7 million comes from the overall state amount provided in this CARES Act funding. It was originally provided in 3 buckets, one for Louisville, one for Lexington, and one for the rest of the state. Lexington and Louisville has been able to deploy these dollars, been able to get them to those that needed it, and overall probably got less than the original amounts by getting it directly than they needed. So when Mayor Gorton reached out the first time, not only were we able to provide the original $11.7 million, but it got to those that needed it very quickly. They came back and asked for an additional amount, and I think we actually said, can you take a little more
Yes.
and deploy it? And they have.
There's been some talk on a national level of a federal COVID-19 Memorial Day. If that happens, great. If not, would you consider a Kentucky?
Absolutely.
Yes.
COVID-19 will be one of the most difficult times that any of us will ever have gone through. We've lost more Kentuckians than in any 3 wars in our history put together. Our lives have been turned upside down, probably more than many people's lives, even in war times in the past, and everybody was asked to do their part. Everybody had the opportunity to save lives from those around us. So certainly we are building that COVID memorial on the Capitol grounds as a place you can come and mourn, and remember those we've lost, and we've all lost now numerous people, and we continue to as we're trying to come out of this thing. But we also want to recognize the very best of us, which we saw during this as well. Certainly March 6th was the very first day of our first case. It would likely be the day that we choose, and we hope by certainly March 6th next year that we'll be recognizing it at that new memorial. All right.
Governor, are you taking any additional steps to kind of alleviate the soaring gas prices? I know you mentioned what you've done, Chief Secretary was here not too long ago.
Right.
And will you consider an executive order to try to reduce or pause the state gas tax?
So the state gas tax is set by statute, both in its rate and how it's calculated, and would take an act of the General Assembly to change it. What we've been looking at, given that a dollar is a dollar, is all the ways that we can free up people's dollars to be able to afford that additional increase in gas. Certainly one was freezing the property tax on our vehicles. Again, it's used cars especially are worth so much more suddenly, and that'll be temporary. We don't want people to have to pay a lot more than they did last year. Puts dollars in people's pockets. Program like this hopefully helps people to afford their rent and utilities, to be able to pay that gas to get to work. And our proposal on the 1% sales tax would help everybody to have a little more money when they pay for virtually everything else that they can apply to whatever they need. My concern is that some of the other proposals don't help those that are struggling the most. So we got a lot of Kentuckians that don't make enough to pay income tax, but they're still out there working. They're still struggling to pay the bills. And if all we have is an income tax rebate, they're not getting help. The temporary 1% sales tax reduction would go along with addressing a temporary inflation that we're seeing right now. Now, there's all types of proposals out there. In the end, I hope we can do something that's good for our people.
Other questions? All right, thank you all so much.
Shorter than a COVID update. Thanks.
Thank you.